Alright, looks like we are going live. Yep, definitely got a connection now. Okay, guys, thanks for tuning into my video. I doubt anyone will actually watch this while it's live, but this is just an easy way to do my VR without having to record because I am running out of hard drive space. What I wanted to talk about in this one, actually, sorry again. I will actually just say before I do this one, and I'm sorry if the audio is a bit funny sounding. I'm actually using two different microphones to record. I've got both the Rift audio because I'm going to be doing some VR stuff later, and I've also got my regular microphone recording. Anyway, reason I got some PUBG playing, random stuff. I didn't want to play any of my videos. I don't have any again. I was trying to clean out the hard drive. Also, I didn't want to have to boot up the game and waste time getting in it just to explain what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is player locomotion. So I've been having a discussion with some people about the player controls, specifically actually talking about Fortnite, and how I don't like it. I don't think it really works for the genre. There's reasons for that, but one of the things I noticed when watching the Ashes of Creation prior alpha gameplay video or something that they released a few months ago, I said that it looked very much like the Fortnite controller, and it basically looked a lot like Fortnite. And people got up in arms thinking, like, what are you talking about? It looks nothing like Fortnite. I don't think they understood what I meant about looking like Fortnite. Not that it plays like Fortnite or the game is exactly the same as Fortnite. Obviously, it's an MMO. But I said that to me, it looks like the controller is very similar to the controller that they've used in Fortnite. That's not necessarily a bad thing, even though I don't quite like how Fortnite works. It's just that I said that they were very similar, and I wanted to use this video to explain why I think that, and to sort of showcase that. Anyway, so going into it, so what I wanted to show actually first was the difference between PUBG and Fortnite, because they're both Battle Royale games. I prefer PUBG as much as I scream at the TV every time I'm playing it because of the hackers, or the fact that we have to play on the Southeast Asian servers because there's no OC servers that will take our game within, the first few seconds, which is completely ridiculous. It's full of what we call hackers, and there's actually been a few times we've reported people, and it has resulted in bans because they have been playing inappropriately, or banned for whatever reason. Anyway, not the point that I'm trying to get at here. What I wanted to point out is that PUBG, I think, is a better controller for the Battle Royale genre, just because of the way that the controls work. It is very similar to Fortnite in the way movement works. I think there's a little bit more. It's a bit more fluid and a little less clunky or arcadey, is probably how I'd describe it. Than Fortnite is. Things just feel a lot more like you're interacting with the environment better, and it could just be part of the aesthetic of being more realism in the like graphical aesthetic than the toony version in Fortnite. But it's also just the way everything else plays. Obviously, as you can see here, he's shooting out the tyre of the vehicle. The way the physics or the ballistics work in this is a lot more accuracy based than Fortnite is. Fortnite, I find, is a very very arcadey style controller where all your, like, combat specifically is very arcadey. You just have to hit the zone, whether it's just been an issue of the way the lag, or the way the server side hit registry works, whatever. And I mean, you've got the numbers that obviously pop up when you're shooting, so that in itself is quite arcadey. It just doesn't feel the same. Bullets don't work quite the same as they do in PUBG. PUBG's got a more accurate more accurate take on simulating ballistics and the physics of things in game. Two very different systems, and I think that for battlegrounds, or for a battle royale style system, PUBG is the far superior mode for that. I just really don't like the way Fortnite does it. In saying that, I think the original Fallout mode, which was the wave defense with the base building, I think that would actually be pretty cool. I haven't played it because I'm not going to pay the money for the game that's going to come out free. I think that would work because that to me makes sense. That arcadey style system will actually work perfectly fine in a wave defense, player versus enemy thing, but in a sort of fast-paced player versus player environment where you got the battlegrounds method, it just doesn't feel right to me. It doesn't match the genre. A lot of people obviously like it, hence why it's so damn popular. and of course with the problems that PUBG has faced in not being that great as far as bugs and hackers and that go. I think that's certainly helped Fortnite a lot with getting to where it's got. So yeah, that's what I think the difference is with that. Now, I'm actually going to bring up some Fortnite gameplay because I want you to have a basis for what I'm going to go on to next, which is what I saw as sort of similar in Ashes of Creations. I'm just going to go Fortnite gameplay. I am just playing random videos here. I don't have a particular person I like to watch or anything. Especially not for Fortnite. I actually don't enjoy watching it. It's just a mash of nonsense. As you can see here. Right, cool, good for that. So you can see already there's a bit of difference in the way the characters move around. I mean, look at that. You're jumping through the air, doing all fancy bouncing and stuff like that. The player mechanic is just completely different. It's not necessarily, the smooth. The animations, I guess, are probably as smooth as each other. They seem to be fine, but the way that you take cover in the world, the way that you attack enemies in the world is very much different. And not just because of the base building element. It's the whole thing it feels a lot different, and especially, I think the player controller itself, like the player motor that drives the character. So when you're moving, with the WASD keys, I think that is actually set up is somewhat different to PUBG is as well. It just seems like there's a very different way, but it could actually just be the physics, like we saw before with our bouncing around and everything. It could actually be the gravity and all the physics settings of the game that control the weight of the player, all that sort of thing. That's probably something to do. But if you have a look at this, the way it's sort of bouncing around, just sort of spamming the shot, you don't really need to have fine accuracy. You don't have to aim down the sights quite as much. You can pretty much just spray, which, I mean, you do in close quarters combat when you're in PUBG most of the time anyway. And hopefully the server side hit registry is in your favour. We'll go to a little bit more open terrain now. Just have a look at how that plays. Yeah, I mean, again, it's the combat is just so much different, and that's definitely down to how the ballistics plays out, and then this whole build mechanic and being able to do these sorts of things. Like, what the heck kind of jump was that? Oh, now you're trapped in there. What's going on? I can barely even tell with all this crap flying on the screen. Yeah, this isn't fun. Anyway, but you can have a look at how the controller sort of handles itself, how the characters fly around, how you actually engage in combat with other players. So what I want to do now is I want to actually jump across to Ashes of Creation, Alpha, Alpha Combat, was it? I think was the video. If we have a look, 2 weeks ago, 1 month ago, do we have... Actually, it might have been called pre-alpha. Actually, we'll go to the Ashes Creation page. That should actually have it there. Now, I just remember I watched this video, and the first thing I saw was just Fortnite. It just, to me, it looked like it was Fortnite. And when it came from like this sort of Baldur's Gate style combat, I think it's this one here. This first look at Alpha Action Combat. So they're both on the Unreal Engine, so I wouldn't be surprised if they're using a similar controller or similar system. Might not be fair to say. But you can already see that, I mean, just because of the different mechanics of the game, it's not like PUBG at all. There is quite a difference of how the player moves in the environment, how it attacks. Obviously, it's melee combat, so it's obviously a bit different to how PUBG would have to do it. PUBG just does not have this kind of structure for melee or melee. But yeah, the PvP style combat that they're going for with the spam and everything, it just... like, it's not quite as hard to see everything, I guess probably because you're not building the base everywhere, but with all of the... yeah, the way the combat works, just to me, I'm just saying Fortnite. It's... I'm trying to put into words exactly how they're similar, but I mean, you can tell when you look at them side by side, it's very, very similar in the way that the player moves around, the way the camera follows the player, the way the combat damage system works. It just... yeah, it's feeling very, very Fortnite to me. Now, the other thing I'll point out too is actually they did release another video where it looked like the Siege, I think, Alpha 1 gameplay 2 weeks ago. That should be it. We'll have a look at that. And this here brought in a little bit more and just made it a little less player versus player, and I think brought it into Siege and PvE. And it seems to work for me. Like I would enjoy playing this game. I mean, so you've got everything lined up there doing their stuff. You've got whatever the heck this is, a whole bunch of monsters coming at them and all sorts of things going off. They're all going invisible now. What good that's going to do, I don't know, but good for them. That's probably still PvP. Yeah, it looks still like it's a bit PvP there. Same as that. Again, it's not a bad thing that it's like the Fortnite combat system. I think it's just sort of the way things are going, and they've made that design choice. Good for them. I don't like the way Fortnite handles the battle royale genre. I just don't think it matches. But I think for this one here, this is an MMO, and for an MMO, having that kind of fast-paced combat system is actually really good. Like that's not an easy thing to do and have work properly. And to actually pull it off and have the fast-paced action combat with the MMO RPG elements, that's fantastic. So this will be a pretty cool game. One of the other things I do want to say about it too is I've read some of the stuff about the player housing, and I'm really excited to see how that stuff works out. Some of the stuff from the wiki that I read was basically you could own a house in the centre of town, and it might only be like start out as a small, small group of farms and houses. And as the city itself builds up, as more people build into it, it grows in size. It becomes a village, and then all the way up to a city. And as it upgrades, your actual house will be in the game, and it will upgrade along with the city itself. So if you buy one of the first houses in there and you set it up in the main street, you will actually end up in the rich part of town once the city builds up, and you'll have like this mansion style building, which will be fantastic because it's not an instanced house, it's actually in the game, so other people in the game can walk into your house and see what's going on. And I think that to me that's the best one, mainly because I like sneaking into people's houses and stealing things in MMOs. I think that's probably the best part of MMOs. But yeah, having that as well as instance housing so that you can actually protect things that you want to protect. I guess that's a good balance to have. But I'm just really interested in seeing how that mechanic plays out. But as you can see, this kind of a battle is pretty cool, and having it that moving away from that tab target style combat for an MMO to the fast-paced action that would be based off Fortnite. Again, I think that's a cool thing. But this whole combat style just to me seems very much like a take on Fortnite, basically. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say about it. So good for me. I've said my piece. All great. Now to get to the cool stuff that we actually want to look at and have fun with. I'm going to get into some VR gameplay now. So one of the things that I was looking at doing with a VR project is actually having a 4-player cooperative dungeon crawler. It's going to be based off the old sort of HeroQuest board game. I hope my bitrate isn't dropping down too far for that. Hopefully this has come out alright because I want to use the video later. So yeah, based on the old HeroQuest board game where you can choose the 4 different characters. They're all going to play mechanically differently. Won't go into too much of it here because it really is just at the very basic prototype at the moment. Doesn't really have much. But after starting it out, I've actually found out that there are a few games that have not been released just recently. I think they've been out for about a year now, but mostly early access titles, and actually have that multiplayer cooperative dungeon crawling game, which is going to be totally awesome. So I picked up a couple of them today, and I'm about to play some of them for the first time. So let's jump in on that and talk about a little bit about the Locomotion bodies. So if I'm just going to turn on my camera there, I'll have to actually angle it a bit more so you can see out. Do apologise for the messy shed, but I can't really do much about it because it's my shed and this is where I play VR. So one of the things that I'm going over with the play Locomotion in VR is trying to get the whole. I get the nausea from playing VR titles with the full Locomotion on. It's really annoying because I like a lot of games. I've got games like Onward, Skyrim, all that sort of stuff, and then with Skyrim I can use the teleport thing, which works, but it does break the rest of the game. I think it doesn't fit what I want it to fit. But it wasn't until recently that I discovered the run on the spot motion or the arm swinging. and it's quite surprising in how effective the mimicking the real life body movements actually works. I did it a bit in Line Echo when I played that, because you've got the zero gravity, you can push off things, so mimicking that was fine, but after about half an hour of playing that in zero gravity or simulated zero gravity, I still feel quite sick playing it. But I've noticed that by doing the run on spot motion, I negate 99% of that nausea that I would normally get. So all my developing from now on is pretty much using that system. But I wanted to fine tune it because one of the big things I think that makes it work, especially for me, is being able to actually move at the speed that my body thinks it's moving when I run on spots. If I just jog sort of softly, I only really want to be taking small steps and moving in short space, but when I get really active and into it, I want to be able to actually project myself forward faster. But the way that it sort of has to read the headset is it's very finicky to try and get that fine line with the stuff that I've been trying to play, the sort of stuff that I've been trying to build. Yeah, it does get a little bit difficult to manage that. So one of the games I've seen implemented pretty well in is the Standout VR, which is the PUBG version for VR, which is an awesome game. I'm absolutely horrible at anything above an SMG in that game because I just can't get the angle right to look down sights or anything like that. I've even tried having an actual brace for weapon I've 3D printed, so it just doesn't work for me. But pistols and things like that, fantastic in it, and SMGs, I can do the real sort of close-up, one-handed shooting, and it's fine. But yeah, the main thing about that is the arm swinging and the head bob motion, locomotion that they've got in there is really well implemented, and I think that's probably the best that I've had in a VR game. Not that I've had it in many other VR games, but it is becoming more mainstream now. It's been out for a little while. I just didn't notice it because I'd never played a game that had it in it. But I am trying to put it in my games now, and I've noticed that with the way it reads from the headset and the hands, it's quite difficult to try and get the proper locomotion for to read the full body without being able to actually look at the legs. What I sort of surmised from it is that there's really to mimic a full body movement or the locomotion in VR effectively, you need to break the player down into 3 zones. The first one starting from the top is basically the head. So you've got your head tracking with your HMD, which will give you the looking around of the in the world and figure out where you want to angle the camera. But that's got to be separate from the rest of the player because you don't. Excuse me. You need to be able to know when the player is looking in a direction that their body is not actually facing. So the next thing you would do is you'd have the upper torso, which includes the arms and the chest. So you want to have tracking for that, and we do that via tracking the hand controllers. And that gives us an accurate enough track with using inverse kinematics. You can basically track where the hands are in relation to the head, and where hands would be, or where basically the arm and the chest or the upper torso would be facing if it were a real body, and we can set that up through a few different techniques. But again, inverse kinematics is the one that I've used on rigs before to get that full body. You can still use the IK as well from there for the third zone, which is the lower torso, so basically everything from the pelvis down, so through to the legs. You don't necessarily have to track it, you can actually just use where the body is, in a sense, to figure out where the feet are, and then use some other system to sort of determine exactly where they're angled. Now, you know that the body can't go a certain amount around, I can twist around that much. Not that I would want to, because it's not the most comfortable position to be in if I'm doing something, but you need to be able to figure out, when the body is turned around like this and leaning over to do something like this, because in-game it would read that my arms are here and my head is here, so most likely I would be standing like this, which is obviously a lot more comfortable, but in case I'm not, I am trying to run or something and lean down and pick it up. The game needs to know that I want to run in this direction in real world space, even though I'm facing this way. So everything that it is tracking and reading is facing the opposite direction of where I'm actually running in the world, and if I'm moving in a different direction, then I'm just going to feel sick and it's going to throw everything off, and you don't want that. So you can beat that by, the Vive's got the extra trackers, and you can put foot trackers on there. I think VR chat allows for that full body tracking like that. not everyone's going to have that, and it's a pretty big undertaking to have to expect people to have that kind of thing. So you want to figure out ways of getting around it. And the way that I was planning for my one was to use the head bob to measure, like, basically when I'm running up and down. I want to use the head bob to track to go like, yep, okay, you're in a running motion now, because your head's constantly going and bouncing around in the 3D space. I can, as the transform, you can see it actually moving up and down the up axis. I don't want to use arm swings so much, because for my game it's a dungeon crawler, I'm going to have a sword and a shield. Sometimes you want to be running, you might not want to swing your arms, you might want to actually be in a charge pose, you might want to have your shield up and your sword up above your head ready to bring down and strike, so you're not going to be in that running motion. And you need to be able to tell the difference that, like, yes, I am actually in a movement where I'm running, I'm not just ducking down like that, because that would also be considered a running motion. So you need another way to trigger it, to basically understand that yes, the legs are in motion here, or no, the legs are static. So what I thought is actually using the left thumbstick in a normal locomotion sense, where you would use it to angle where your feet are by, moving it around, but checking for that input before you start checking the headset for the bob. So the player can say, yes, I am walking. You can also adjust it so that the speed can be controlled by the thumbstick. Sort of goes against what I was saying before, where, like, I wanted it to actually judge the distance or the difference in the movement of the head bob to actually match how I'm running in real life, because that would be the closest or more accurate way of figuring out my speed. But you could use like a multiplier or something like that, so that in case you've got very fine control on the head bob, and you don't really want to be moving, you want to have the control with the thumbstick to give you that forward and backward sense too, because you need, if you're just judging from the head track alone, you can't tell whether the person is trying to run backwards or forwards. So directional wise, you need to be able to say, yeah, I'm running backwards, so if I hold back on the thumbstick and I start moving, my character will move backwards. So I could lean back and go like this, and the controller would be able to figure it out. So that's how I plan on tackling it. It's going to be a little bit of work to get that going, but hopefully I'll be able to look into it soon and get up another demo. I've already got a basic demo going where I've got the head bob movement. It's not perfect, because it is pretty much just going like this can move you in a direction that you want to go to, but at least it doesn't take the direction from the direction I'm looking at. It actually takes the direction from where the controllers are facing, I think the left controller in particular. So if I'm standing like this but looking over here and bobbing up and down, I'll move in that direction in the game world, so not the direction I'm looking at, which is quite handy. And it also, because it doesn't read the arm swings, like I can carry a sword and a shield and be moving around with that, slicing around as I'm running along. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, I wouldn't mind seeing how a few other games do it, especially games that are very similar to the games that I've got. And then the multiplayer will be the other thing that I really want to check out too. So I'm just going to stop talking and waffling on about nonsense stuff now, and I'm actually going to try and put my headset on properly with the glasses on. It's usually not this hard, but that's fine. Alright, here we are. So hopefully you can hear me even better now. Hopefully there wasn't any problem with it before. I wouldn't know, because I'm not actually watching my stream. And if you're trying to talk to me on the stream, then too bad for you. Let me just try and pick the game that I want to play now. Go to the library. Which one? Carnage Chronicles or Dungeon Knight? Dungeon Knight looked pretty plain, so I might go with Carnage Chronicles first, and we'll see how that goes. I was actually only going to get Carnage Chronicles because I saw some earlier footage of the Dungeon Knight, and I could see all the Unity assets that it was using and just how cheap it felt. It didn't feel right, but after watching a little bit of it, I decided to pick it up as well, because I wanted to see how it played, and they've had a combat update, so it looks like it's actually improved a little bit, and I'd really like to see their take on it. Anyway, we're in the game, so before entering the mode, Carnage Chronicles, be sure to choose a controller preset that suits your playstyle. Controller and movement options can be found using the settings buttons on your belt, which would be this one. No? How do I... Oh, click it? Okay, cool. Controller options. This is a bit weird because it's a little bit disconnected from... So when I was moving things, it's a bit weird. Locomotion. Use the left thumbstick to walk. Use the right thumbstick to rotate. Pressing and holding the right thumbstick allows for controller-based rotation. Locomotion preference, HMD tracked or controller tracked? I want it to... Ooh. Controller tracked, because I think that's talking about how... maybe it's not arm swings. Hopefully it's not arm swings. Smooth. No, I want a 45-degree snap for the turn. Oop. Thumbstick straightening, center of room. So this isn't... How is this working? So... Control-based rotation. So I don't know what it's trying to do there. Option A, can I change that? Oops. No. Oh, next. To teleport? No, I don't want to teleport. Why can't I? So what's that supposed to be doing? I don't know what it's trying to tell me to do. Ah, there we go. Welcome. Carnage protocols. Currently, the access movement. Multiple options. So teleport, Y button, left, right, walk, rotate, open, close. I thought this one had the arm swing. Okay, so it doesn't have arm swing. So I want it to use the controller for. Yeah, alright. Alright, cool. Happy with that. So controller tracked because I want it to follow the thumbstick on the controller and not move forward when I'm looking that way. Yeah, so if I'm moving, then it won't move to where I've got the headset. So I have to look there first and then no. Yeah, it'll move to where I've got the controller. Okay. Whoa. Whoops. I just walked into it, man. Give me a break. Alright, so what it's saying, as you can probably see, which one am I facing? Am I turning? Alright, so you can probably see me better now. Let me also just check something. Oh, you can't see anything at all because it's not following the game. Alright. Yep, allow me access. Alright, so I'm going to have to set up my OBS to actually take the game here because you aren't seeing the proper thing. Let me just have in a window capture, okay. There we go. That ought to help. Alright, so let's just bring that up a little bit, and we're going to have to bring it down in the hierarchy. There we go. We'll turn off that display capture. Alright. Now you can see what's going on. Sorry about that, I didn't realise I obviously had the headset on so I couldn't tell. Alright, so as we're looking at here, our movement options, so it's still using the locomotion. I'm probably going to run on the spot anyway, just because it helps me with any kind of nausea. Thumbstick strafing, center room indicator, 45-degree turning, so that's the snap turning with the right thumbstick, that's cool. Yeah, controller track. As I was saying now, if I'm moving, it's going to move, and up on the thumbstick, on the left thumbstick, will be in the direction the controller's working. Oh, I've got to stop doing that. So that's how that works. Multiplayer before hosting or joining. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to play single player first. I can exit the game. I can look at the Unreal logo for whatever reason I might want to. I can close my fists. Yeah, so it's not sort of tracked for Oculus. It's basically just off that. That's cool. Good for them. Alright, so at least with this movement, my head can look elsewhere as opposed to if I go HMD tracked. It's going to just follow exactly where I'm looking, which puts me off a little bit, so let's not do that. And we're just going to confirm that now. Alright, now we can get into the game, and I will... Oh, and you can press B button to open and close that. Cool as. Alright, so we're going to choose this one. Yeah, it's empty. Cool. Visually, yeah, pretty cool. I'm enjoying it. I think it's cool. We can go as an archer or a warrior. Now the warrior does the sword and shield, which I want to try the melee combat, but instead of a bow, it's got like a little crossbow. We'll go down warrior first, and we'll see how that goes, because I do want to see. Oh, hello. Blade dancer. Yeah, I'm going to leave that down a little bit so it's not too blown out over the top of my voice. Hey. So the motion's very smooth as well. So run on the spell might be a bit better. Whoa. Choose the difficulty. Well suited for first time players of action RPG games and VR. Monsters are fewer and further between. Don't really want that, so I'm just going to go normal, I think. Not that I'm super experienced at it.
The road laid before them, wide, unbent, and less taxing than the others. A sensible choice, considering the gravity of their ultimate quest.
They've done alright with like setting up the scenery and the use of the rocks and everything. Like it's toony, but it's not too cartoony that it just sort of, it's off-putting. It's actually got a sense of realism to it, and the depth is quite good. The lighting, all very well done. Let's go into this little thing here. Let's have a look.
Awaken.
Jesus. Got this funny looking dwarf. Got this one without an arm. That's obviously why he's taking a rest. Oh, we've got this little thing over here.
Molded in the sightless abyss, the paragon of his art, the children of his coming. 5,000 years they slumbered in oblivion, abandoned but not forgotten.
So that's the centre point there, is it? So I'm sort of supposed to sit on there.
Grand designs of his arcane works.
Yeah, I'll end up hitting into my thing with that. So that's basically the centre track space is that point on the ground, which I'm not quite standing on, so now I am. Wonder if that's got anything to do with how the hitbox will work, or whether there is an actual avatar that's considering that. So yeah, you can run by pressing down on the thumbstick and moving forward. Or I can walk. So I was going to go, ooh, that water looks nice actually, let's have a look in that. Any fishies about? It doesn't look like it. They've also sort of locked you onto this path, so you don't jump or anything like that, which can actually also discombobulate you for nausea. It is really nice water. I quite like that effect. I think that's, I don't know if that's going to translate over the Twitch feed, but it's a very nice water shader, whatever they've used there. Good on. Alright. So this is where we get our gear. Stand back from the thing. Come across items in the world, pick up an item, simply touch it and it'll be added to your inventory. So the armor's been added to your bag, simply pick up the armor from the bag using the trigger button. And you can't grab that one? Damn. It's close. So we can, oh, I'm just going to close that. So you only have to touch the armor pieces, you don't actually have to click on them, which is cool. That's not going to get me anything. Press B. One thing this trigger control is actually a little off. Okay, put that on there. And you can see that, yeah, it's filled out our glove. Kind of a nice job on the gloves too, they look pretty cool. Creepy effect. Alright, so let's have a go running up here. Oh. Yeah, boy. Oh, g'day. Look at that. That's actually a really cool model. I like the work they've done on that. Oh, here we go. Here's another bit of water. No fishies, no worries. So now we've done that. And now we've got our sword. Just having a look at that. That's pretty cool. Sort of clipping through things, but that's alright. I do like the effect of the sword. It's a bit hard to, in the VR goggles, to get a nice clear view when you get up close, but yeah, I like the shader that they've got on that as well. So cycle left X button, cycle right A button. What's my X? Oh, yep. So yeah, you've got the 3 presets to go through, which is cool. So you can set up multi-preset. And now the next part we've got to do. Bit of a delay there with the rope, not just sort of waiting for the attack, basically. Alright, so clicking on the thumbstick toggles the run mode. I'm just going to leave it in walk because it's a bit better, unless I'm in full combat maybe. But for now, better see. This one here, preset 2, we can put in the range weapons. Yep. So I've got to touch it, and then we go here. I'll pick that up. Oops. Drop it in the slot. And now I go like this. So it gives you apparently 3 rounds. 1, 2, and then you got to wind it again. So that's pretty cool. One of the things I wanted to do in my dungeon crawl is have every character is mechanically different. So there's no range attack on the barbarian. But it can use 2-handed swords, and it can lift heavy objects. The dwarf, I'm going to have like a shield and a hammer, and like a toolkit to pick locks. The elf will have a bow, so that's the first one that does the ranged attacks, and can cast 1 school of magic. And then the wizard's got 3 schools of magic and a projectile, like a firebolt spell sort of thing. So yeah, they'll actually all play mechanically different depending on what you do, and that's going to vibrate. But this is sort of a cool idea that you can have for a pickup for the other characters that don't have range. So the dwarf might be able to pick up the crossbow and use it similar to this. I do like this whole charge handle thing that it's got on it. That's kind of fun. So we go bump, bump. Yeah, cool idea. Then we go back to our sword. And we're just going to walk down this way, no worries. Can't do much with that by the looks. Should be able to 2-hand this as well, but it looks like you can't. It might be alright if I get a shield anyway. I'll be able to do the old shieldy crossbowy. Something here across it or something looks alright. How's the stream looking anyway? Yeah, it looks like it's going alright. Cool.
Get it into your thick skull. He is dead. The Magi know nothing, and that witch who calls herself a priestess is just toying with your mind.
Yeah, so you're going to have an empty hand to do the thing. That was one of the things I was thinking about with my game as well, is trying to get the balance between, you know, carrying items and interacting with the environment. I was thinking, like a shield, if you're holding on the thing, should be able to do it. I can see that having a sword wouldn't work, because of course you're actually, there's no hand, it's just the weapon.
1,000 years. Nothing biological can last that long. What is this? A construct? I carry nothing of value but my cogs. You look exquisite. Come closer, let me have a look.
Yeah,
Who
right.
made you?
Oh, so you can interact with I don't know who made me.
It booms inside my mind like an echo from a 1,000-year-old whisper. You are a murk wraith, nut and nuzzle. I never thought I'd see the day. Woken by the gentle touch of the arcane, no doubt. The Magi of the Circle will be pleased to see you. Fits well with their deluded prophecies.
I don't know about the voice acting for this guy, it's a bit weird. The Magi of the Circle.
A group of mages with ludicrous ambitions. In times of old, they instilled fear and respect in the hearts of orcs and elves, but now their existence is all but forgotten.
What is that?
I am their
Put a shirt on.
servant. I'm a construct like you, but unlike you, I am partly mechanical. It has its drawbacks and benefits compared to being fully fueled by magic, as I'm sure you'll find out.
Alright, fair enough, mate. Why were you sent here? What is my purpose,
It's all
Master?
about you.
I need to get better.
I will give you enlightenment, but first you will do something for me. Think of it as a soft introduction back in our ranks. Yes, perhaps I should have started with that. It is no mere coincidence that you are here, at this place, at this time. My masters are also your masters.
Oh, and I like her.
Nuts and nuzzle, no. You're a tool. I don't know what the Magi have in store for you, but whatever it is, it will surely tax you to the limits of your magic. The task I have for you will pale in comparison. Do this for me, and I will tell you everything there is to know.
Do what? Tell me more about this task.
Only require a few plain trinkets. Useless to your eyes, I'm sure. I see value in treasures that others leave to the elements. Here, give me a joke. I will have a sketch of what you will do. You can find them in an old abandoned fortification.
Alright.
I own. It's not far. Beyond this door, a short distance away, you'll find a rippled shimmer, the imp who opened the way. It's a portal, a gate, if you like. And I trust, once you see it, it will spark embers in your mind. The gate is a rift in the fabric of cosmos, contained and governed by the laws of magic.
I don't have time for this.
I have other business to attend to. Oh, yes. Excellent. Do you want my staff to find your backside again? Do as you're told and don't talk
I guess I can't get in there yet.
off
Oh, sure. Alright.
until next time.
Oh, no, I can get up there now. Let's go have a look here first. There's all sorts of cool looking armors. Oh, different weapons. Pretty cool. Right. Oh, that's a cool shield. That's armor too. Well, those swords look a little familiar. More on the crossbow. Don't need any of that. Ooh, don't know what they do. Don't know what those do. Right, anyway, let's start this adventure. See ya. There will be taxing, so arrange for the imp to leave a few supplies in the room to your left. Use them wisely, and return to the shop if you're in need of more. Town portal scroll will turn you to your abode. So be sure to have one on you at all times, unless of course you enjoy the long walk home. So up here on the left, I think it said. Yeah. Oh, another key. Town portal, so town portal goes there and then I can come back in here. Nice. Have a look at you. You look like a town portal scroll. You look like another sword. What have we got here? Mercury sword. 6 and 52. So I can put this here and that there. Fill ourselves out in that. That little coin. What's that one say? The journal is missing, you must have taken it, but we'll go see that I didn't know. I'm loath to confront him, seeing that I'm a guest in his house and outside the village. It's only so to get to after my findings, I return to the ruins on the morrow, and if we sort sets in. Cool. You look like something that could come in handy later. You look like, what the hell is that? Whoops. Unusual. Yeah, boy. No, can't do anything with that. Nor that. Ooh, there's a chest. What does that do? Alright, let's get on with it. So one of the things I want to look at now is not only, oh, is there any fishies? I've seen a video of someone where there's a fish in one of these things. Yeah, one of the things I want to look at is the melee combat, how close I have to be to hit something. Is it going to be way off, or because one of the things I noticed with Skyrim in particular is it can be a bit finicky. I wonder if I can... Just like that. And here we go, here's a nice little test for it. So here there, what do you... So that's, the reach in that's actually quite good.
Perfect. Perfect.
And of course if we come back here,
Perfect.
it's pretty hard hitting, but obviously it takes a while. So So you can do a super shot. Oh no. I was incorrect about that super shot. If I was an archer, I think. Welcome parry, alright. Interesting. It looks like everything is pretty much locked off except for Wyvern Scale. So let's jump into the combat. I'll do a little bit of this and then I will switch across to the other game. Let's go hit up this scroll first so I get a little bit about what's going on.
The entrance gaped like a mouth, and the Wyvern-scale mountains rose behind it like a serpentine spine. Darkness waited, hungry, patient, eager. A glorious secret lay within, like a gleaming lure dangling over a ravening maw.
Checkpoint. I'd assume I've triggered it then. Bang, I've just sort of spooked him a little bit, but haven't actually properly done damage. He ducked my shot. Cheeky. So this is very interesting now, because they're using a long-range weapon, it's hard to get in effectively. The combat's actually not too bad. They sort of switched to that real block state a little too smoothly. So you want to try and get that thing where you block and attack. But at least they're not clipping through, which is an interesting thing. So you can see that if sometimes if you get too close with the shield, especially on the dev stuff that I'm doing, they pretty much are attacking through the shield. That's because of the AI that I've got is basically it's using an animation. It's not physics based, so it's just playing the animation. But this one here, they definitely, or as they're going through the animation, it's changes depending on what's going on. I love that water. Nothing, you jerks. Nice scenery. Fishies. No. Cheeky. I can hear something moving around. Oh yeah, there we go. It's an archer. It's really cool that they're ducking these shots. It looks like I can do it as well. Jesus. Whoa, okay, so I just took a hit. You can cut the arrows out here too. That is one cool thing that I've seen with the archer. Yeah. So you're going to run after these guys. Oh. Not easy to do in the slightest. Whoa, alright, got a little disoriented then. Goblins still leave me alone. I guess they find my theme and bulk intimidating. That weapons, all they need to do is take me down and work together. Huh. So I wonder who it is that is riding these things that we're chasing down now. Jesus! Thought I heard someone running. So he got under my shield then. Which is interesting because I wasn't aiming in the right spot. Yeah! Ooh. I just picked up another item then, which... Huh. It's just like a sellable weapon. And your health regens by the looks, so... Oh. I actually quite like this. This is quite an enjoyable experience. Oh. Whoa. Jesus. Hold still. Ah! Alright, that's enough of that. But yeah. Just spins and gets rid of it, mate. No worries. Righto. Let's have a look at what some of that stuff does. I really need an apple. Gain more valuables to collect. Alright, so I've got to switch to free hand. Another checkpoint. Don't like the looks of these at all. Gate monster dead. You're free, you gate master. Go crawly if I can get up. Game. Ah. How's the string going? Yeah, looks like it's fine. Don't know whether there's like an inventory size. I mean, there was only a few spots on the thing, so I'd assume. And where am I facing? Alright, back on the screen. Fuck. Always got to keep your eyes open in this place. Doesn't matter how many buzzy things you hear. Found a dead goblin, which means I can finally study their factory. Without the risk of aggression, I'm trying to cut. If you say so. Cheeky, where did you come from? Oh, so it definitely got under. God dang it. Someone else is growling at me. So I need to use something. Sounds like something was running at me there. It's not full, I just ate some cheese, didn't I? What is that? Ooh. Yep, so baby boy's awake now. Ooh, jeez, going off. And I'm just going to try and rush through this around. Oh. Ah, this fuzzy thing. You right? Yeah, right. Be. Oh, well, I can't hear him, can I? I'll be there in a minute. Said I'll be there in a sec. Alright, I'm gonna have to cut the stream there. So, thanks for watching anyway. I'll finish this off at another date.